Hello guys, welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. It's time for another match preview. Back in the Premier League, the last game until the international break. Crystal Palace away in the 12:30 kickoff, right? We know our history with the 12:30 kickoffs, and to discuss this game with me, it's Crystal Palace's number one fan, the person who, whenever we've played Palace in the last 3 to 4 years, he's been on the channel. If I had a double hat-trick ball, it's probably time to give you a double hat-trick ball.
Right.
But big up to Joe Walker, man. Thanks for coming on, bro.
No, it's a pleasure. It's always an enjoyable fixture when we play each other. Like you've had a number on us for a long, long time, but I always think it's a contest. Like I enjoy the type of football. It's way more enjoyable than out of all the other kind of elite sides. We kind of don't always bring our best, or it's a little bit more just backs against the wall. Whereas I feel like the football's always better when we play you. I quite enjoy those days.
If you take away the 7-0,
Right?
was it 7-0?
It was 7.
So
Yeah.
if you take that away, the actual results since that, especially at your place, have been close, right? I think we won 2-1 last year. Harvey Elliott last minute.
Yeah.
I think the year before was a Fabinho header, 1-0. So you're totally right in terms of whenever we play each other, there's always a shock result, whether it be in your favour or our favour. But there's always moments, there's always big things. I remember a couple of years ago, you came to Anfield, got a draw, Nunez headbutt. Yeah. So you're right, actually. I didn't think about that. But this fixture does bring up some crazy stuff.
Yeah. This coming one, I'm less sure. But then it's funny, the last time I came on, I felt like I was in this exact mood. We've had an entire cycle, been the best team, most informed team in Europe, and now we've come back and just regressed to the mean in the space of, 6 months? It's really strange.
It's not been amazing, your start to the season. And we'll get into that. But make sure you smash that like button, get your score predictions in, your lineup predictions. As you mentioned, a little bit of revenge on the cards. This man broke my heart. Not you. Well, your team did, right? They broke my heart because it pretty much spelled the end. I remember texting you after the game saying, well done, man. That's us done. And it was. You know, that was one of the very rare home defeats that we ever had under Jurgen Klopp.
Bad week that, because it was, you had Atalanta defeat, and then that within 4 or 5 days, wasn't it?
It was horrendous. Yeah, the whole season fell apart really within that week in April. So a little bit of revenge on the cards. And obviously going to Selhurst Park, we know... I mean, I always big up the atmosphere. I always big up the fans. Doyle, who's on the channel as well, he says if he supported a London team, it would be Palace. So there is an admiration there, a respect there for sure. What isn't to be respected is your form this season, without any, malice intended.
None taken.
But it's weird, isn't it? Because maybe from that Liverpool game, you turned into unbeatable, really. Mateta was flying at the top. You had Olise still at the club. You had Eze on fire. Wharton was obviously on fire. I could name a few more. Why and how has it gone how it's gone this season?
Couple things. The obvious one are some of the departures. So there are a few players gone that we were expecting. People like Jordan Ayew, Sam Johnston. And to be honest, Michael Olise, as huge as he's missed, I think we were planning for him to go. The ones we didn't plan for are like Joachim Andersen, for example. I think we'd expected to sell Mark Gay, take the money, and finance something else. And then Anderson says, Fulham are going to give me 100 grand a week for 6 years.
6 years?
6 years.
How old is he?
29? Or something like it's like, yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. So,
what?
Yeah.
I mean, take that.
Yeah.
Take
so
that.
Palace said, okay, hold on that then. We'll have to put the price up if we're going to lose them both in the same window, which is why I don't know if you followed how annoyed Newcastle were. So we kept changing the price, going, if we're going to sell him now, we can't sell everybody. And as a result, at the moment, we have got some good players in. It's way more disjointed and unbalanced at the moment. We've got about 9 defenders because we only sold Anderson and kept Gay. We already bought Mark Gay's replacement in June. In a guy called Chadi Riyad we got from Barcelona. He's out injured. We've got Shalabar on loan, who's out injured. I think he might be back, might make his debut on Saturday.
Okay.
We bought this guy, Maxence Lacroix, who is essentially the Anderson.
Cool name.
Lovely
really
name.
Cool name, by the way. Lacroix.
Our sort of sole physical presence. Like, you'll notice he's the Anderson replacement. Very good, long passing, but has needed some time because every time he's played, it's a different back three. So what was really good about that run at the back end of last season was it was a settled 11, basically because that was all we could put out at the time. like Nathaniel Klein in a back three. Who would have planned for that to actually work? Nobody. Will Hughes and Adam Wharton as your midfield partnership beating Man United 4-0. You don't start that. That's not your, there are a lot of people made them names of themselves there. But the defence is constantly changing due to injuries. The midfield has changed a lot. Another new signing we're playing at the moment. It's a little bit Kamada, another sort of Glasner signing, won the Europa League with him at Frankfurt. He's coming in on a free and has not quite found his place in the team, takes an extra touch, needs to get up to speed with the game. It's almost like Glasner likes him so much, he's almost like willing to sacrifice halves and points in order to get him up to speed, which is a bit frustrating.
Shouldn't be like that.
Exactly. And then obviously with Olise, that's the headline, and it is for a reason, because rather than replacing directly, we've bought about 3 players that can play there. Ismail Assar, who's quite good, but not got a start yet. Kamada, who I've mentioned, who has played there, but would probably rather be where Eze is. And Eddie Nketiah, who we're playing as one of two 10s, who that's not his position. He's doing a job there, it's not his position. And so you've gone from the Anfield game is a great example. Olise with the ball, if he's not cutting in and doing something with his left foot, you've got Daniel Munoz on the overlap. If Munoz has not got something, Nathaniel Klein from centre-back is doing a third overlap. So we were just really overwhelming teams. Now, there's no Olise and no Nathaniel Klein. The centre-backs are not overlapping. So it's just Daniel Munoz on his own as the entire right side, with Nketiah and Kamada over there somewhere. And we look really imbalanced, few square pegs, and the squad's better than the position of the table gives credit for. But we don't look anywhere near as the same attacking-wise.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some names that have come in that haven't really hit the ground running. There was a good win in the Cup. I think Eddie scored, didn't he?
Yeah, beat QPR and beat Norwich 4-0 after that.
And I've seen, the results that you guys have had this season. I think for the majority of other fans who aren't Palace fans, there's just eyebrows raised because of how good you finished last season. Yeah. You kept hold of Sam Wharton, who I'm not sure if you want to put a price tag on him, but has that decreased a little bit since the Euros, or is that unfair to say?
The report is that he's carrying an injury, but I don't understand why we keep playing. Obviously, he was incredible in that back end of last season.
He really was.
Changed so much of our fortunes. I guess we've got a couple of injuries in midfield at the moment, but I just think why... I mean, he got subbed at half-time against Manchester United, and it was the right thing to do when we played them, because he's still got an incredible pass in the form that he's and fitness that he's in, but all action tackling and the hustle and bustle, just running midfields, he's not doing at the moment.
Right.
I've just, the England squad's just been announced. He's not in it. Neither is Eze. It's totally understandable and agreeable, even with my Palace bias. I just think, they're not. Both of them need a rethink or a rest in Wharton's case. If I still think Wharton will go next summer, or he's even been linked with City now that Rodri's injured for January, which if they come knocking,
if it's January, it's 100 mil, isn't it?
100%.
I'm answering that question for you.
Absolutely.
If City want him, 6 figures, mate.
Absolutely, and it would go with our blessing in that case. Very good player that's not started this season in the same way, but you can say that about Eze, you can say that about Mateta, you can
Where
say
is Czech Doucouré?
So,
because last year, this fella, Joe,
70
said
million,
to
did
me,
I say?
I think it was 80.
Okay.
I think if we look back at the receipts, I said how much? Because this was at a time when we were
pre-Endo.
Pre-Endo, who actually turned out to be a great signing for Liverpool. But I mean, we could have probably even gone in for him again this summer. But I think you quoted 80 mil at the time. Where is he? He was how much is he?
He was our player of the year ahead of all these guys a year or two ago. He finally got back from injury 2-3 games in. He helped us get a point away at Chelsea, which is one of the better results we've had. And then I think his first or second start, him and Wharton looks like a dream. And then he's out for like 8 weeks with a foot injury now. So that's not helped with the midfield stuff, but it shouldn't be it's not the sole reason we are where we are.
Right. Because if you look at Liverpool's fortunes this season, I think it's 9 games in total now if you include 9. 1-8. Obviously that freak loss to Forest, which kind of just brings you back down to earth. But even since then, we've turned it back around. We've beaten 2 Italian teams. We've actually struggled against Italian teams in Europe recently, as you know, with Atalanta. So from our point of view, we're looking to come into this game full of confidence, top of the table, looking to go into the international break, putting our feet up. I mean, I am literally going to Ibiza on Tuesday, so that's get the win, boys, and then I can go and enjoy myself. Yeah. We've got Chelsea straight after the international break as well. So yeah, we're coming into this one knowing that if we do our job right and we play how we've been playing with the chemistry, with the dynamism in midfield that we've got, I mean, obviously we're hoping to win on Saturday. Even though it's a 12:30 kickoff, I think Arne Slot's won all of his ones that he's had so far. The only question mark, and this is where I'm asking Liverpool fans in the chat now, the number 9 is a bit of a question mark for me, because from what we've seen so far, that's his 3 in midfield, right? Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai. It seems to be his 3, no matter what the form says. McAllister and Gravenberch, especially Gravenberch, as you know, has been incredible this season. Szoboszlai, I think there's 3 or 4 games in a row where he's done something exceptional, and then it's the wrong pass, or the pass is too late, or pass is too early, or he's missed a chance that he should be scoring. You look at, the Old Trafford game away, he should be rattling the back of the net with that shot he had, and it was a little bit similar last night at the game. So my 2 question marks would be, do we bring in Curtis Jones for this game, who I think had a decent game at Palace in that 7-0. I think he scored a couple. Busting to kind of come on and hold that position down. I think maybe that 8/10, if you want to call it that, and the 9 are the 2 positions, in my opinion anyway. I don't know what you guys think at home, but they're the positions that there's a little bit of a question mark over. Probably the only 2 positions that you would be open to changing. I mean, if Curtis comes in, if Jota starts, I think that would be fairly brave from Slot, knowing that Szoboszlai's been his man so far. Obviously, Nunez has come in and out of the team, but because Jota hasn't played that well in the last 3 weeks, I think the wingers, no matter who they are, on fire. Salah, obviously, even though his performance wasn't great last night. Diaz and Gakpo, I mean, they're literally 50-50. You could go either way. It's a toss of a coin. From a Palace perspective, who would you rather see in the Liverpool lineup on Saturday? But also remembering that he probably won't change that much. But who would you rather?
Cool. I fear Diaz. He's always. I feel like he saves his best performances for us. I know it's been patchy price this season, and have obviously extenuating circumstances around that possibly. But I think on form he's just incredible. I really enjoy watching.
Dangerous, isn't it?
Dangerous, and just the kind of winger that all defenders are terrified of, because no one really wants them running at you. Yeah. And having to put a ball past you. Now you're back to the player. It's like I would rather not see him. Jota, I think, is kind of one of the unluckiest men in football at the moment, because if he's not getting into obviously at Liverpool, it's tough, it's competitive, but I think in any other kind of world, he would be starting up front for Portugal. Yeah. And it is just not getting any minutes.
I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's just, an excellent player that just always is finds a way near the goal. The midfield, maybe I'd rather Szoboszlai. Midfield is the problem area for Palace at the moment. Wharton questions around his fitness, but we're playing Kamada alongside him. We certainly did away at Everton, hopefully for the last time, where they're both trying to do the same thing. You want it's almost like a strike partnership. You want the 2 different profiles.
Yin and yang.
So exactly. Almost, so in midfield, you want a Chet Doucouré or a Jefferson Lerma alongside a Wharton.
Plus a Wharton, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas at the moment, we're playing Wharton and Kamada, who some thought would be the Olise replacement, has now come and playing in midfield because he didn't do well there. Glasner obviously believes him and is trying to find a place in the team for him, but as soon as one of them lose the ball, because they're trying to do the same thing, they're both quite technical, we are leaving so many gaps defensively and between the midfield and defence. And when Everton can take advantage of that...
I mean, that's saying something.
Exactly.
Really, it's saying something.
Yeah, and Manchester United should have taken advantage of Sellers. It was 0-0 that game, but they could have been out of sight in the first half. And if that happens again, I think a team like Liverpool, who, a word you used earlier, talking about chemistry, we're still playing like we're in pre-season almost, with all these new signings and bedding players in. Whereas I feel like Liverpool, even if you're changing players in and out, you seem way more settled at the moment. Yeah, and so
I agree.
That should be enough for you to control that midfield, if that is the midfield we set out in the end.
Yeah, I think the Palace that we'll be playing on Saturday is just night and day compared
100%.
to what we played against last season. Anderson always had a great game against Liverpool. You know, obviously got Nunez sent off as well. So I'm glad they're not coming head to head literally again.
That goal we scored at Anfield, that kind of really nice team goal that Eze puts away.
Great finish.
That's not a goal we'll be scoring.
Right.
If we are going to be scoring, it's going to be, I don't know, a set piece or a really fast counter attack. Maybe we catch you, beat the offside trap. It will not be that kind of pass the life out of you, which we were really doing. It wasn't just you last, but after that, we frightened the life out of Manchester United, just playing them off the park. And Villa we beat 5-0 on the last day of the season.
I think people forget that result, you know.
With Mark Gay in midfield. He'd been injured throughout that whole run. His only game starting with Glasner was
Is that Unai Emery's biggest defeat in his career potentially? It's got to be
for a while.
It's got to be up there. But I mean, obviously Olise's gone, super player.
Yeah.
Anderson no longer there. They were the main two that really played well against Liverpool in years gone by. But Eze's obviously the bright spark still. Absolutely robbed on the first day of the season. I said it on DR today, that free kick that should have counted. Yeah. I mean, it's laughable, really, some of the decisions. Is he the man that's going to get you something, if anything, out of this game?
It should be. This season, Eze without Olise is a bit like Ant without Deck. He really hasn't taken on that solo talisman responsibility as well as when he had Olise alongside him, opening teams up, or even prior to that, when Olise was younger, it was Zaha and Eze down that left side, kind of causing teams problems. He always seems to work better as part of a frightening creative team, and at the moment, he hasn't clicked. He's got a better relationship with Nketiah than he has with some of the other signings, but Everton, for example, Sean Dyche was asked after the game, kind of, how do you stop Palace's strong players? He said, I just put that defender on Eze. And that's all it takes at the moment. Right. He's sort of hiding from the responsibility a little bit. Maybe just, maybe he needs to move more centrally again, or we need to change up the system. But it will come from him. He could have in another universe scored 3-4 goals this season. He's hit the woodwork loads.
Yeah, he's been unlucky, man.
That Brentford game, as you say, was just ridiculous. But at the moment, he's playing more like a moments player than, will get a chance, but otherwise quiet compared to Eze in full flow, where he is driving at defences, he's running the whole game, he's deciding to win the game of football. Yeah. It will have to come from him, but he needs
the help. He can't just do it on his own. And I think,
totally.
When Olise was there, their partnership, their chemistry, their understanding of where they both are on the pitch was second to none. It really was one of my favourite kind of pairings in the Prem. And you almost thought, he might leave with Olise. He didn't. He stays. And I know Mark Gay's the captain, but I think you would have almost expected him to want to take that responsibility on, almost say, I'm the vice captain now.
Yeah.
I'll be the captain of the midfield.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really happened. But again, he's still got time. Not in the England squad today, which he'll be gutted about. But let's get into Liverpool's lineup prediction. So Alisson, Trent, Ibu, Virgil, Robbo, who came off around about 70 last night. But again, that's just because he's probably going to play on Saturday. In the midfield, Ryan Gravenberch. I mean, words deceive. I mean, there's only so many superlatives you can use. And it has got to that stage with Liverpool fans where we are like, one, man of the match every game. Yeah. But two, where was this last year? And Arne Slot, fair play to him. He's brought it out of him. I would always like to see McAllister in a little bit more of an advanced role. But in this system, we control games with those two. Right. And again, like you said, yin and yang. McAllister and Gravenberch really, really do kind of suit each other. And then you've got Szoboszlai, who's almost like the first press when we're in attack, and he can obviously join up. I don't know. I'm going Curtis Jones, though. I think he's got a point to prove. He's obviously got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. In the pre-season, he said he really enjoyed Arne Slot's new format and style. And I think this is a type of game where he can stamp his mark. And if he has a good game, he can say, Dom, mate, get on the bench because I'm here. And that's his kind of favourite role, Curtis. So I'll go with Diaz, but it could be Gakpo. I mean, we've seen Gakpo play through the middle as well, which he wasn't the biggest fan of himself. He likes, obviously, cutting in and, wrapping that shot near post instead of going around, which is probably a more Diaz style to go round the keeper. Gakpo almost likes to cut in, and before the keeper's got set, bang, front post, and he's done that for Holland as well. I think you just have to edge it to Diaz. I think the striker will be Jota, and obviously Salah will play, and that means off the bench you could bring on a Nunez, who last night when he came off, I mean, he scored an offside goal. Born offside, this fella. To be fair, the pass was a little bit late, but there was almost this feeling around the ground last night that when he came off on 60 minutes, which is very early for a striker, you're almost thinking that kind of feel-good factor has gone since that Bournemouth goal.
Right.
And it's now like, do you see a future for him? Because the way we're playing, and again, we're in loads of different cups and, we've got loads of games to play, so he will get his time. But I feel like if you're starting for Liverpool in that number 9 now, whether you are Jota or Nunez, if you don't score for 180 minutes, you're out.
Yeah.
And that's good. It's good, healthy competition. But I don't know if Nunez is up for the fight. I don't know if he's ready to spearhead a Liverpool attack and say to Jota, you're on the bench, mate. At the minute, he's feeding off scraps. He starts some games, and in those games, he might miss a couple of chances or he might be offside. I just feel like we want to love him and support him so much. But I don't know if he wants it as much as we want it for him. Right. So it's really difficult, man. It's a bit of a conundrum with Nunez.
An enjoyable player from a neutral perspective.
For sure.
Seems chaotic, but equally I can imagine when he's at your club and you're depending on him, it's probably less entertaining because to watch, he seems like that something will always happen, but that might not necessarily be a goal.
It might be a headbutt.
Yes, it could be.
Could be an open goal miss.
Yeah.
Something will happen.
Yeah, a player that I'm sure just, if the cards fall right, will go and could it quite feasibly, and you might disagree, the sort of player that could quite feasibly have a 30-goal season.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been saying this since he joined.
Yeah, and that's not nothing to say that. Even though he hasn't done that and he's been wasteful in periods, to have that little bit about you is why he's there. It's why people keep showing faith. But obviously there's a limit. If you're trying to win things, you're doing that. The patience can only be so...
I think 3 full seasons is the limit.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think he scored 19 in all comps last year, 11 odd, 13 odd assists. Yeah. So numbers-wise, you're going, But if you look, the eye test doesn't deceive.
Yeah.
I think he missed 28 big chances last year. I mean, if he put 10 of them away, we'd be talking about a player who is getting 30 goals. Yeah. I mean, genuinely, this sounds mental. If he put everything away last year, 40 goals he would have scored.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And then the sky's the limit. But let us know in the chat, people. Is it Nunez? Is it Diogo Jota? We're hearing that Chiesa might be available, ready for the bench. He didn't obviously play last night. And then again, off the bench, you can bring on, if Nunez starts, you can bring on a Jota and vice versa. Cody Gakpo can come on. Tsimikas, Connor Bradley comes on quite a lot. Curtis can play in the midfield. Joe Gomez is still there.
That's where the game was won at Selhurst last year, if I remember rightly. It was your substitute. I think
Harvey changed the game.
We went down to 10 men. I think, certainly we had a sub goalkeeper make a debut. Our third choice came on.
Yeah.
But your substitutes just wore us down and scored
Harvey
goals.
did that so much last year.
Yeah.
He didn't start a lot, but when he did come on, I mean, it was a good finish as well. It was near post. Keeper maybe could have done better, but it's always been tough against Crystal Palace again, except that crazy 7-0. But I remember at Anfield 4-3. I remember a 4-2 at Crystal Palace recently as well. So genuinely, this is a great fixture in the Premier League over the years. Palace Liverpool. Score predictions. Let's get down to the juicy part, because come 2:30 on Saturday, one of us is going to be either very happy or very sad.
I will go 2-1 Liverpool. It's not me being cynical, but there's some patterns at the moment that haven't been fixed by Palace, and they may well change come Saturday, but if things stay the same, we will concede a goal right at the start of the second half. We've done it 3 times this season already. And, when we do go behind, Glasner will make all these changes and we look really positive. He'll go all-out attack FIFA mode. He'll put wingers at wing back, and we'll really squeeze, and we'll get a goal back. But by the time that happens, it might be a little bit too late.
2-1 Liverpool. Who's your game after the international break?
Forest at home.
That's a must-win.
Or Forest away, excuse me. But yeah, it's must-win.
I don't think if you lose this game, Glasner becomes more under pressure. I think it's obviously a tough start, the teams that you've played, but it's almost a bit of a go out, don't lose heavily, and show us what you've got a little bit.
He is desperate for that international break
to
reset everything, I think. And yeah, a heavy defeat could really just the sort of atmosphere of the fan base created by what happened. He's still dining out on that, and he's earned that goodwill. But some of the selection choices and the faith in players that hasn't worked out, you mentioned eye test earlier, very much that for some players. If we see the latest version of that, people might get a bit fed up. But.
Okay, you've done yours 2-1. I love a clean sheet this season, bro.
Okay.
We were actually quite good at getting clean sheets this year. Do I think you're capable of scoring 100%? Mateta, if he turns up, if he links up with Eze, there's other players that can really damage teams as well. 2-0. I'll go 2-0 Liverpool. Now, I don't think I rarely predicted that scoreline under Jurgen Klopp. It was always a 3-1 or a 4-1 or a 4-2 or a 4-3. And I think Liverpool fans have to now get used to the fact that not every game's going to be like that.
Right.
I'd rather take a 2-0 than anything else. So I'll go 2-0. I think that would be 9 wins out of 10 for Slot. Going to second international break, knowing that Chelsea at Anfield the next game. Sorry, I'm struggling here today. Struggling like
Premier League fever,
like we did against you at Anfield, mate. I'll go for a Liverpool 2-0 win, hoping for a clean sheet. But massive thank you once again, man, for coming on. Joe Walker, top Crystal Palace fan. Are you going to be at the game?
I will be. Yeah, I'll be in the home end, hoping for a miserable time for you.
Where did you have a drink in Liverpool last week?
Oh, where did I go? It was actually the Spoons just outside Lime Street.
Oh, rough.
Yeah. But hey, that's my bit of rough. I like to slum it out. Yes,
you do like a cheap pint and some sticky carpets.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. And I know that. I know that Wetherspoons. It is a bit of an away pub for everyone to go and enjoy themselves. But listen, Joe, massive thanks for coming on once again. We're going to put Joe's details below. He's going to be at the game on Saturday. We're going to be at Box Park Liverpool for this one. Doing the match day vlog and also fan cam. So a lot of people were messaging me, were we there for the last away game? We're going to be doing some watch alongs here from the studio and some big away days from Box Park Liverpool as well. So if you are at the Box Park Liverpool site on Saturday, come over and have a chat. And hopefully we'll be talking about another 3 points. Hopefully. And Arnie Slot's Tricky Reds maintaining that number 1 spot. But until then, smash that like button, get your comments in, score predictions, lineup predictions, and we'll see you next time. All the best.